we have entered the final 5 rounds of the 2023 NRL season, so it's time to bring back the tipping videos as we finish off the year, because we are officially on the run home. We've had the post-origin come down, and now we are on the race to the top 8. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, leave a comment down below. What are your round 23 tips? Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because this is going to be one hectic run home. And no games are as important as this one when it comes to finals footy. The Roosters, well, they're going to have to win the last 5 games to even have a chance of playing finals footy. Whereas Manly, look, if they lose this one, then their season probably is over for the Roosters. There's no Egan Butcher for Manly. Christian Tuipulotu and Sean Kepi dropped out of the side due to injury. Like I said, this is must win for the Roosters. They lose this one, then they are officially ruled out. The 5th team ruled out of this 2023 NRL Telstra Premiership, whereas Manly, look, they could still make it, but the fact they've got to play Penrith, that's probably the only game they can afford to drop in the remainder of the season. Manly won not too long ago, but the Roosters were definitely the better side in that game. DCE Brilliance was the difference, and look, DCE Brilliance might have to be the difference again. Manly are playing a better standard of footy, and their defence has improved, and that's why I'm going to tip him. The past few tipping videos, I've had to say I'm tipping Manly, but I think the other team will win. The Roosters, look, it's a star-studded lineup, and on paper they win, but that's been the story for them nearly every round this season. So I'm going to back Manly to get the job done. I think their defence has improved too much, and I think the Roosters' attack is going to cost them another game, and that will be the Roosters done for 2023. 2 residents of the Friday 6 p.m. game, the Titans, they're taking on the Warriors at home, and the Warriors have a terrific record over the Gold Coast, especially at Cbus Super Stadium. They've actually got quite a big following there, so this game should be packed out, and considering it's Friday 6 p.m, expect it to be sort of like a Warriors home game, but look, I am tipping the Warriors, and I'll be shocked if they lose this. The Titans, they're coming off a short turnaround and a big win over the Cowboys, so look, Titans, they definitely have the capabilities to cause an upset, but still no Big Tino, and the Warriors have actually made no changes at all. So I'm going to tip the Warriors to get the job done in this one. In my opinion, they're probably one of, alongside Brisbane, the biggest challenger to Penrith. But if they want to keep that status, this is a game they have to win. And considering how important for and against is going to be when it comes to them and the Broncos for second place, this is one they should win 13+. Then the main event on Friday, the Panthers taking on the Storm. And this one, the intensity of this game has sort of dropped off a bit the past few years. I remember the 2021, it was insane, but Penrith have been just getting the better and better of this fixture. And considering Isaac Tungo is back, at least on the extended bench, Penrith are winning this one. In my opinion, Penrith are just simply too good. They are in a completely different class at the moment. Now, if the Storm are able to knock off Penrith in Penrith, which they probably can do, probably their last game, or at least probably one of the last games they'll play without the return of Ryan Papenhuyzen. So, until they get Puppy back, it's hard to see them contending Penrith on the big stage. If they win this one, it'll prove me wrong. But Penrith's defence at the moment is simply too good. The Storm do welcome back Big Nelson, but I don't think it'll be enough going up against, without a doubt, the favourites for this premiership. We move from the Friday main event to the greatest Saturday 3 p.m. game of all time. The Broncos, they're taking the trip to Townsville to take on the North Queensland Cowboys. This one is going to be a cracker. Brisbane, basically, this can sew up a spot and lock them in for the top 4 finish. And that way, they won't have to worry about another late season fade out. Whereas the Cowboys, look, if they lose this one, they're in danger of dropping out of the top 8. And this was a team a week ago that we thought was a smoky for the top 4. So, big game for both of these teams. Brisbane obviously won the battle earlier in the year, but it is at Townsville. Look, the Cowboys, depending on when you're seeing this video, will probably be without Valentine Holmes. And Broncos, they're looking red hot. They demolished the Sydney Roosters, and I know the Roosters aren't the same outfit as they have been, but they look so hot right now. And they are so hot, and they're just going to keep building and building. So, as good as the Cowboys have been, and I know they're definitely going to bounce back and make it close, I can't tip against the Brisbane Broncos. Even though it's at Townsville, they could be without Valentine Holmes, and I reckon that left-hand side for the Broncos could have a field day. Saturday, 5:30 sees the Finns. They're hosting the Newcastle Knights, the only team the Finns have been in New South Wales, but this Knights team is completely different. Probably the form team of the competition outside Penrith. Of all the teams currently outside the 8, they look the most likely to jump into it, and a perfect time to play the Dolphins. Unfortunately for the Finns, the shine has sort of worn off of them over recent weeks, especially since post-Origin. Unfortunately, their depth has been tested and they just can't live up to it. Although this game, you know, it's at Redcliffe. No, it's not. It's in Perth, which means, yeah, I'm tipping the Knights 13+. And then to back it up in Perth, these games are always exciting. It's the Bunnies taking on the Sharks, and I can't believe the Sharks are paying nearly $4, considering it is 6th versus 7th. Another game where the Sharks, I think the Bunnies, because they've got the bye, and this is probably the hardest game they've got left this season, I feel like the Sharks definitely need to win this one. If the Sharks lose this, like the Cowboys, are in danger of falling out of the top 8 if other results go the way against them. But in this game, it should be high scoring. Nico Hines versus Cody Walker. It's bad when your two halves and Supercoach play against each other, and that is the case for me this weekend. It's not going to shock me if the Sharks do get an upset, and they should be fired up. 3 losses in a row now, and they didn't score a point against the Penrith Panthers. As good as the South Sydney Rabbitohs are, they're probably a team that you can play your attack back into form against, and I think it'll be high scoring. It'll be interesting to see how the conditions play out there in Perth, but with the home ground advantage taken out of it, I feel like South, they've got more to play for, and that's interesting to say, but I just think the Sharks, like everyone's saying at the moment, they're on the free fall. This is a game they have to win, especially considering other games they've got coming up if they want to stay in the 8. But I still think the Bunnies, they're in the business of finishing top 4, and if they get this one, then despite them being a bit lower on the ladder to some of the other teams, then with their run home, they could pretty much lock it up with a win here tonight. Then we move on to, unfortunately, back-to-back Pooslinger Sunday. It starts off with the Eels taking on the Dragons. Sunday, Arvo and Comback. The Dragons, they actually looked pretty good last week, but they're probably going to be without Jack DeBell and the Eels. They're playing for a lot. This is when they look at their run home, probably the only easy game they've got outside of maybe the Roosters, which they'll jag as well. They need to win this. They're currently in 11th. Even if they win this game, they still might still not. That's not English. They might still not be in the top 8 after this weekend. So when you're playing the Dragons with the top 8 spot on the line, you just got to get the job done. In saying that, this is the game the Eels, even this year and the past few years, they seem to drop, but I'm not going to not tip the Parramatta Eels at home taking on the Dragons. And with Moses Gutho there, yeah, and Dylan Brown returning as well, they've got to put 13+ on the Dragons. And then finally, the Raiders, another must-win game, but for the Canberra Raiders, you can never consider them a safe bet. They've got a pretty easy run home, the Raiders. But if you think the Raiders are going to be playing finals footy, or at least challenge that top 4, they've got to win this game. And saying that, the Tigers, they'll be desperate. I mean, they've got no Stefano, they've got no Sean Bloor, but I actually think Alex Seyfarth's been a bit of an underrated gem for them the past few years, and especially this year. Saying that, like the Eels, the Raiders have so much to play for, and they're at home, so after last week's embarrassment at home, I'm sure Ricky Stewart's not going to let them have back-to-back poor games, especially against the Tigers looking for a top 8 spot. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The return to tipping videos are done for this week. So, to round off, we've got Manly 1-12 over the Roosters, the Warriors 13+ over the Titans, the Penrith 13+ over the Storm, the Broncos 1-12 against the Cowboys, the Knights 13+ over the Finns, the Rabbitohs 1-12 over the Sharks, the Eels and Raiders 13+ respectively over the bottom 2 sides in this competition. Ladies and gentlemen, drop your round 23 tips down below. The 5th final round before finals. Every game I talked about has huge ramifications on the top 8 or the top 4, and you could even argue the wooden spoon still. So drop your tips in those comments. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel. Of course you do. They're all just buttons, baby. Just push 3 buttons and then you can be a GOAT. Consider yourself a GOAT. Self-verified GOAT. Alright, I'll stop calling you a GOAT and I'll see you all in the next one after you've pushed those 3 buttons. Friday night food.